An area that received a lot of attention in the current year of Yearbook Fusion is usability. We've made it literally one click to build a yearbook panel, assuming that you've got a correctly configured PSPA CD. So this is what the CD looks like normally, with file names, grades, and so on. But you'll notice that we've added a new field called Department. Students are called they're all in the student department, and you'll see that there's groups for faculty and support and administration and so on. That's part of the PSPA 2010-11 spec. Lumapix is a member of the advisory board, and we managed to get the spec changed to include this. What this does is it makes it simple at import time to say, oh, if this person is a member of the administration, then they belong on staff pages, and they can all be grouped together by department. We've also added two optional fields, title and salutation. If you want to know if it's Miss Jones or Mrs. Jones, the salutation will allow you to specify that, and for students you don't actually need a salutation. And for the title, most students, you'll never see the title, but it's nice to know on a staff page the difference between a teacher and an assistant teacher, that kind of thing. These are all optional. You don't need to have a title or a salutation. We really recommend having the department field filled out because it makes the presets work, as I'll show you. Just to put your mind at ease, if you receive a PSPA CD that doesn't include a department field, you can easily add this information in the organizer. Let me just very quickly show that. Once you've done the import, you can simply select an individual and say make into administration, staff, and so on, and that will set the fields which are used by the preset. So it's really literally a one-click operation to build, let's say, students by teacher. So this is going through the database and finding everybody who was marked the right way to show up on the student pages. And you see we've now got 11 pages, and it took me one click to build this entire book. There's the Derock class, there's the Germain class, there's the Aber class, and so on. There's one click. It was very simple to do. I can change my mind and say let's do it by grade, and it once again goes through and rebuilds everything. So these are presets. You can save your own. If you've set up some configuration you like, you can say save it as a preset, and then choice will show up in this list. Now, the top level preset controls everything, and to show you what that feels like, I'll say choose a completely different style of layout. The staff pages, they're different. The labels are underneath, the headers are centered, everything is centered on the page, and it's grouping by the department that people work in. I see that I've got two pages, on page 2 the support staff, and on page 1 everybody else, so I'd like to change that. We've taken in simple mode several controls that we think are really useful and brought them together into a single page. So in order to have everybody fit, I want to have a different number of columns, and I'm just dragging to interactively resize the number of columns like this so that they all fit. The next thing I notice is that the names are a little bit too small, so here, staying on the simple side of things, I just go to the label size, press and drag left and right, and you see that I can adjust it until everybody fits. This is wonderful. It's literally a couple of clicks to build an entire book. I'm going to go back to the students by teacher to show a few new features as well. You've seen having the labels on the side of the panel, and you've seen them underneath the images. We now have a new mode called Labels Beside Image, which looks like this. And if I were to play with the number of columns, I'll bring it up to 3 and then 4. You'll see that it's laying it out like that. You've got options, whether you want to have picture, name, or let's say alternating, like this. You can play with these options. They're all quite simple, and there aren't so many of them that it's confusing. There's only about 10 things here. So I'll bring this back down to 2. It's simple to work with. I want to point out that there is still the advanced mode. You still have enormous control over the population, the panel layout, the header settings, and so on. But we truly don't think this is going to be necessary for 80 or 90% of the time that people are working with this. I'm just going to choose a different preset to show one final new feature here. We're now looking at students by grade, and I want to illustrate locked, which does what you think it does. It basically turns off changes to the panel. but also manual. This will make people happy because it allows me to select panel frames and move them around. So I can do, for example, this sort of wave effect that I'm building right now. There we go. So you can pick up anybody. Let's grab the teacher and resize him, for example, like this. You have total flexibility to build whatever you like, and that includes rotation and whatever works for you. So you've got a great deal of control this year with your Book Fusion, but it all winds up being simple. Just click a preset and you're good. One of the big things that's changed in PhotoFusion for the 2011 school year is the speed of remote storage. We've really worked on this considerably, and I'll illustrate this by making a layout. I'm just going to take this picture of these kids and put it into the layout with, let's say, a paper in the background and a frame around it. I'll add a little bit of text to the Polaroid saying, for example, first day of school. And I'll also add a bunch of other images down here. Just split this up into a bunch of smaller frames, choose a bunch of images, and then drag them in. So that's just a quick layout, and the point of this illustration here is that when I say save as to remote storage, it looks at the Amazon cloud storage and allows me to say, let's call this first day out. And when I hit save, you'll see a resizing of these images to something which is more than good enough for printing, but will accelerate the upload. Now it's being uploaded. You see that the total time to do this is roughly 30 seconds for those 5 images. We're not uploading the paper or the font or the frame because those exist on the store already. The only thing that's being sent up is the high-res versions of these photographs. When the upload is complete, you'll see that there's a slight delay here as we resize the images so that when Mike, my partner, pulls down this project, he'll be able to pull down a lower resolution version. So Mike, take it away.
Alright, so I'm going to select File, Open, select Remote Storage, double click, bring down the project, and there it is. And I'm just going to make a few minor alterations. So I'll add a little shadow to this text. Let's change the font to something a little more interesting. And let's swap these 2 images here. Actually, let's bring this up a bit. Just make these larger in size. And then we're going to swap these 2 images right here. Okay, and now I'll hit save. And that will save the project back to remote storage. And then I'll just do File, Close, and Mike, take it away.
Okay, I'll choose File, Open, and look in remote storage where I see first day out. Double clicking on that, you'll notice it's very quick to load because most of the images were already available to me. I see that Mike has changed the font, swapped a couple of images, and it's remarkable. It's like I'm working on a local copy of the project, yet it lives in the cloud. PhotoFusion's always been a powerful tool, but I have to say that in the current year we've really taken it to a different level with the text. We now have an extremely powerful text editor which offers what's called in-place editing. This allows you to click and then type directly to fix mistakes the way you just saw me do. That works regardless of whether you've rotated or resized the text. You can change it to say whatever you like and type upside down if you want to. It's okay. It's all resizable and working like this. The flexibility that you've got is amazing. On the basic tab here, you'll see that I've got control over, for starters, the font. So if I want the top line to all be in Arial some font. Let's use Arahoni, and this one I would like to be italic, and just these words here I would like to be bold. It just works, and if you resize it, it will keep the choices that you made. A font effect that I'm fond of is to hold the Alt key down and tap the left and right arrow keys. This allows you to nudge what's called intercharacter spacing, like this. You can adjust the interline spacing. I'll just select across a line break and then adjust it like this. I'll do the same thing here. Control over left and right justification. I've said left, right, center, and so on. The things that you're used to, including the thickness of edges, so I'll make the edge this color, let's say. So now I've got a thick border around everything, and I can, of course, change the color of the interior to anything else, like that. A lot more controls, though. If I want to play with the effects, I can say fill it with a blur, let's say. So there's a horizontal blur on the fill of the text. You can do the same thing with the edge. An opaque shadow, for example. That's a neat effect. What else? Under Advanced, you'll see we've got control over skew. Let's just take the word awesome and skew it more or less. Let's play with the offset, which is the offset against the baseline, or the rotation. So now I'm rotating the characters in place. The area type, that's a really interesting one. I'm going to delete this and start over. This time around I'm going to say lock the size, so that whatever size I choose is applied to everything. And I'm going to take a large piece of text, here I'm just copying something out of the Wall Street Journal, and I'll paste it in, and I'll say I want everything to be smaller. Like that. The Advanced allows you to choose an area type. So for example, I'll choose a diamond. And you'll see that as I resize this, it's making it all fit within a diamond, and I can continue to adjust everything about it, the font size and so on, just like that. Pick it up and make it part of a layout. Truly amazing text tools this year, lots of power. One of the great new things available in Yearbook Fusion 2011 is the Dropbox. This allows the yearbook administrator or the publisher to give a link out to other people at the school so that they can drop images into a web page and have them be available to the yearbook administrator without all those other people needing to have Yearbook Fusion installed. So let's say I'm the yearbook administrator, I go to the gallery, and you'll see that I have at the top level, as a publisher, I have a folder called Acne Yearbooks and one called Lumapix Clip Art. When I go inside that, I find a folder called Dropbox. And again, if I go into that, I see a bunch of images and folders and a URL, an address, which I can take and copy and then paste into either an email or a web page. I can dictate it to somebody. What I'm going to do is to put it into Skype. Just copy and paste into Skype. And my partner Michael, who is at a different city, will be able to click on that link. And Mike, why don't you describe what you're seeing?
Yeah, I just received a link from you. Okay, I'm going to click on it. And up comes Internet Explorer. And here are the images that are currently in your Dropbox. So I'm going to click Add Images, select the image I want to send to you, which will be this stack of apples. Okay, it's uploading now.
So the point is that Mike could be a parent, or the leader of a sports team, could be absolutely anybody. Anybody that receives that URL is able to do what Mike just did, find a local image on their camera or their computer and upload it into the gallery. They're not able to delete anything, they're not able to cause any damage. They can only put things in. Mike, is it complete yet?
Yeah, I just pinged you.
So I'll open the gallery, and it looks like I need to refresh, so I'll just press the F5 key. And there it is. I'm seeing pictures of the apples in front of the blackboard, and I'll drag and drop that to the canvas, and off we go. So it's a wonderful way for people to collaborate, to contribute images to the yearbook without needing to do anything other than visit a web page and upload a few images to it. We've really added quite a bit of graphics to the gallery in response to feedback. You'll find that we now have 4 separate folders in the clip art folder, one holding clip art, another with covers, headers for the top of panel pages, and paper textures. In particular, in the clip art, it's the same organization as we had in previous years, but we've added quite a bit. You'll find a great deal more in the way of religion, for example. There's a lot of demand for this style of graphic, and so it's all there. You simply drag it off the gallery onto a page, and you're good. There's a lot more elementary school themed stuff as well. Just go and find stuff, some of which was previous in last year, some of which is new to this year, but we've added hundreds and hundreds of pieces of clip art. You'll also find a series of covers, and these are all new. Of course, they need to be applied to a cover page, and so I'll create a new blank cover sheet, and then back in the gallery I'll choose, let's say in the elementary section, let's go with this one. I'll just drag it and drop it to the outside, and it will be dragged and downloaded and applied to the background of the entire page. And if you want to try a different one out, then just let's go with this one, drag and drop it, and it will be applied as the background. And then you're free to add, for example, the school name like this, and so on. These are just graphics, and so if you decide that you like it and want to use it as a regular frame, that's fine. For example, that was just downloaded and applied as a graphic, which is within a frame, and so on. When you're working in pages that you want to label, first grade, second grade, and so on, so let's just add a blank side, perhaps put a paper texture into the background. You can put a label at the top of the page, what we refer to as a header, so I'll just use that paper, and then we'll go back into the gallery and navigate up to find headers. So there's a lot of these. For example, going into School Spirit, we'll see dozens and dozens. I'll just use this one. It gets downloaded, and you can position it and resize it as you like. And there are a huge number of these things in all sorts of different styles, all sorts of different grades, from elementary all the way up. This one looks like it says faculty, but you'll find some themed after movies, suitable for high schools and kids. Here's some of the movie ones. So for example, here's a fairly recognizable 6th grade look like that. So they're all there in the gallery, free to use. And then finally, we also have a whole new set of papers, textures, books, and so on. So we can go in, and you'll find a lot of bordered images. So if you drag them to the page, they become images, but if you drag them off to the gray area outside everything like this, then they wind up framing the page like that, giving you lots of room to create things on the inside. So it's a much more complete collection of graphics and embellishments, headers, clip art, and so on. Enjoy.